My name is Heather Franklin, and my capstone is a case for specialized college mentoring programs for former foster youth. My faculty mentor is Dr. Lars Egertson. This was a mixed methods research capstone originally. However, the qualitative data, the focus group was unable to be completed, so therefore I completed a thematic and analytical literature review, and I completed a self-efficacy comparison between first-generation college students and former foster youth. I also developed 20 questions based on the literature and my results to be able to be used for a focus group in the future. It is important to understand that there is a cultural gap, cultural capital gap between former foster youth and non-former foster youth in regards to the fact that former foster youth typically don't hear about college success within their experiences in foster care. They are discouraged from taking college prep courses due to the fear of teachers and social workers of them not being able to afford college. And so a lot of times, even when they match comparably to their non-foster counterparts with GPAs and standardized testing, they are more likely to receive job readiness skills rather than post-secondary education information. And in one study in particular, they discovered that the independent living skills that they tend to receive, about 60%, upwards towards 60% received that, and only about 8.6% received information on post-secondary education versus 76% on job readiness skills. It's also important to understand that at the college level, even programs for low income and first generation students were not designed with the challenges faced by former foster youth in mind. Due to multiple placements, there are a lot of issues that have hindered their academic and social successes. And so, in looking at the literature with the mentoring programs that have been studied, the ways in which programs address financial needs is through helping them identify scholarships and housing grants, as well as applying for FAFSA. A lot of school counselors and sometimes social workers and teachers don't know how to help or assist former foster youth on how to apply for FAFSA. It's also important to note that basic need insecurity is experienced by the majority of former foster youth, even when they're averaging 26 hours a week at a part-time job or juggling multiple jobs. Also, upwards towards 60% have experienced homelessness at the college level, and in between breaks during holidays, they are at highest risk for homelessness. And so programs have incorporated housing vouchers for them during these breaks to accommodate their needs. In addition, the absence of supportive relationships has been impacted due to multiple placement changes, and so many programs incorporate social activities. Sometimes they even house students together on campus to address their social emotional needs as well as their housing needs. And studies have shown that student engagement as well as personal expectations increased when unity, connectedness, and a sense of belonging increased. As far as the mentoring relationship goes, it's important for them to be able to have at least someone that they can rely on for moral and emotional support. One caseworker stated, when I went to college, I had somebody to go home to. If things got rough, I had somebody that I could call. Former foster youth don't. It was interesting that former foster youth in the college level benefited more from having mentors that were formally in foster care themselves, but maybe a little older or more experienced. And so this actually improved their empowerment, resiliency, confidence, self-efficacy, and increased academic engagement. In addressing their mental health needs, a lot of programs have offered fee waivers and cap exceptions of psychological testing through referrals, and this has improved their graduation rates, especially since many programs have shown upwards towards 60% have been referred to psychological services. One student said, "I didn't find out that I was dyslexic and had testing anxiety until my junior year in college. I'm having severe problems in college because you have to know how to write. I barely know how to comprehend. That's a problem. Nobody tested me for dyslexia, ADHD, or nothing. I don't mind being diagnosed, but I want the treatment that goes with it." Programs have also incorporated a healthy survivor identity based on the strike's perspective. This they've done by involving former foster youth in mentoring and leadership positions and increasing their autonomy. They've also involved them in teaching workshops and teaching identity formation, positive identity information, and this has helped them decrease negative self-perceptions and increased graduation rates. Many of them need tutoring to prevent them from being on academic probation, and many of them sign contracts with liaisons to track their grades. Liaisons or single points of contact can oftentimes prevent the runaround, which is described as a common experience, but for these students, there was additional pain and shame in having to share their challenging backgrounds with different anonymous staff members. So within the programs, population identification, um, including youth as stakeholders and outcome evaluation, sustainability and continuity, as well as awareness training, has been cited as needed by program staff. It's important to include stakeholders, former foster youth as stakeholders. One program took the phrase "nothing about us without us" from James Charlton, who is known for working with the ADA, and that's a highlight to just show how important including them in program evaluation and design and development is. So in looking at the results from the self-efficacy comparison, the former foster youth scored lower in their self-efficacy compared to first generation college students. In comparing averages, the simple t-test gave a p-value of 0.043988, and the raw data, the Whitney U-test p-value was 0.0114, and so the null hypothesis was rejected. It's important to note that this is a pilot study, and so with only 12 first-generation students and 8 former foster youth complaining it, as well as 2 students who didn't fall under either and were used as controls, it's important to note that this should be applied to future studies. However, this study supports the literature stating former foster youth need specialized mentoring programs. Former foster youth have higher college dropout rates and course withdrawal rates than first generation and low income students. So that a self-efficacy scale may be used as a baseline for evaluating the impact of these specialized programs. And going forward with this analytical literature review and pilot study, a focus group is needed for stakeholder involvement, especially in considering developing a program here in the community or even at Utah Valley University. 20 focus group questions were developed from a thematic analysis of the literature that are available upon request from myself as principal investigator or Dr. Lars Eggertson. The method of comparing focus group responses to information in the literature would allow resources and assets available for developing a mentoring program to be used in a demographically relevant and cost-effective manner, especially with limited resources. Thank you for your time.